Footy and Frothies, it's grand final time. Beautiful weather out here. The storms pass through Western Sydney, and we're going to get stuck into all the action from this coming Sunday. Who are we? The old Dagster, former vice-captain of the Penrith High touch footballs team, and the three-time premiership winning back row of the Manila Tigers. Barney is also with us to get stuck into all of this and much more. What's happening, mate?
And we only won two. We lost the third one. We were undefeated for 3 years and
That's
then
ominous,
lost the grand
actually.
final.
That's ominous.
Didn't lose a game for 3 years and then lost the grand final because the bus broke down with every player except for myself. Because they all lived in Manila. We lived in Barraba. So
So you're the one from the ad. You're the one in that Telstra ad.
Yeah, absolutely. The bus turned up. They basically got off the bus and we played. We only got beaten by 2 points. But I was the best player on the field because I had a good night's sleep.
Yeah, so every time you think of that, you see that Telstra ad, just think of Barney. He's the one in the goggles.
Played front row to that. He killed it.
Yeah, good work. Well, we've got the grand final we'd hope for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two best teams all season. Mm-hmm. Two best forward packs. Yeah, we'll talk about all this as we get stuck into it. But it's exciting times. Exciting grand final weekend. Any plans?
No, not at the moment. The missus follows the Panthers, mate, so basically it's up to her what she wants to do, and I'll just follow orders from there.
Fair enough. We'll work in that parameter then, I suppose. I've got the kiddies, so you're welcome to join on the deck, but you got to do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. Just quickly, the lead-up is the Souths against...
I haven't been following any
Tigers
of it, so don't look
in
at
the
me.
State Cup. I just sound like a dickhead. I better check that. And the NRLW is the Knights and the Titans at 3:55.
Expected to be 34 degrees.
Yeah, 120 is the Bunnies and the Tigers in the state championship. And then the Knights and the Titans in NRLW at 4 o'clock. Yeah, they're talking about putting it back because it'll be the hottest grand final of all time. Mm-hmm. Because, global warming's only a myth.
Apparently.
I have no input on any of those games, so we'll just get straight to the big dance, which is Penrith and the Broncos at 7:30 from Accor. I'll run through the team lists and then we might go and look at a player-by-player matchup. Then we'll just have a quick chat about how we expect the game to play out, respective styles, and we'll get some bold predictions at the end. For Penrith, well, both teams are largely unchanged. For Penrith, we've got Edwards at fullback, Taruva on the wing, Tango, Crichton, Tuo, Luai and Cleary. Moses Leota starts. Kenny, Fisher-Harris, Sorensen, Martin, Yo, and the bench is Cogger, which is a great reward for him to play grand final off the service he's provided this year. Lindsay Smith, Spencer Leniu, and Luke Garner on the bench. Pretty much full strength, and they've chosen to leave out Peachy and Hosking, so who have provided ample service this year. For the Broncos, Walsh, Arthurs, Staggs, Farnworth, Cobbo, Mam, Reynolds, Flegler, Walters, Haas, Capewell, Ricky, Carrigan, Tyson Smoothie is the 14, Piakura, Hetherington, and Paliasia. Again, chosen to leave out some very more than capable servants in the likes of Jensen and Oates, but you've got to say they're pretty much coming into this game in hot form at full strength, and in my humble, this could be the best grand final we've had maybe in a decade.
Yeah, 100%.
Good weather, dry track. Does that particularly suit either team, or?
No, I think both these teams are very comparable in large parts across the field. The thing that sort of differentiates is the fact that there's a lot more experience, obviously, in this Penrith side coming into another decider. What's that for? 4 in 4 years?
Fourth grand final for this Penrith team.
And they've won 2 out of the last 3. It's just the big thing for mine is whether these X-Factor players from Brisbane, they need to play the best games of their career. We know they have the skill, they have the talent to be a top-end performer, but they need to be able to put that out there for 80 minutes, whereas you've got a consistent baseline for Penrith where 90% of this team is putting out a consistent effort for 80 minutes. So.
I'll go as far to say is a fast dry track suits Brisbane a little bit more.
fraction.
Only because it lets the X factors.
A little bit more pace.
There's a little bit more pace, and they can push that pass with a little bit less risk. Not just saying it's a game breaker or anything like that.
100%.
But I think your Reece Lightning, your Cobbos, your Stags of the world are going to be a bit. Oh, and given they've been stuck at.
Lets them get their
Sand
boots
pit,
in the
Suncorp
field a
all
little
year,
bit better.
It probably suits them a little bit more, but it is played at night, whatever else. Let's run down. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go from front to back to front? How do you want to do this?
We normally go one down. But
go one down. Let's kick off. And don't these teams match up excitingly well as well? With the fullbacks, Dylan Edwards against Reece Walsh. How are you lining up these two?
I'm expecting probably a 9 out of 10 from both of these players, to be honest. The thing that comes down for obviously the differentiating feature between the two.
Is a 9 out of 10 Dylan Edwards performance as good as a 9 out of 10 Reece Walsh performance?
On the scoreboard, no.
But in effort, undoubtedly. But
yes, 100%. But as a way to set up a structure for other players to be better, I think Dylan Edwards probably provides a fraction more stability through the middle of the field and being able to inject other players to really get towards a game plan, whereas Reece Walsh's X factor, if he hits a 9 or a 10 out of 10, can completely blow a game apart. So Dylan Edwards would be relying on somebody else providing him something to be able to... Like, he can easily score 2-3 tries supporting back through the middle, make a shit ton of meters through the middle. They both do a very good job at setting up their defensive structures for both of their sides. They're always there. They're always like you very rarely see a try scored in the corner without either of them being within the vicinity and trying to push the player into touch. Obviously, Reece Walsh can probably provide maybe 10 more points on the scoreboard, but I think Dylan Edwards is probably that little bit safer and may not provide a try opportunity with a spilt ball or an intercept pass. So they're pretty close to cancelling themselves out, but Reece Walsh probably just has an edge if they both put in a 9 out of 10.
Yes, I think a 9 out of 10 Dylan Edwards is fantastic and did all those good things and run 308 metres and diffuse every bomb. A 9. I don't think we've seen a 10 out of 10 Reece Walsh game, and this is a scary thing. A 10 out of 10, we've seen some 8s and 9s out of 10, but a 10 out of 10 Reece Walsh game almost wins Brisbane the competition. I'll go as far as to say, but he's safe on the high ball. He's explosive. He's on a dry fast track. He's going to be the scariest proposition on this field.
Oh, 100%.
That's not a big fella belting another big fella running away.
Yeah.
The wingers, Taruva, Arthurs, Tuo and Cobbo. A fantastic matchup, but I think the two Penrith wingers are in absolutely outstanding form right now. They've really come with... They've both started the season. Took a long time for Taruva to get into his stride. Another one off a World Cup, which we've talked about previously, as was Bizza. But took both a long time to get in his stride, but on the back of Origin, they've been sensational. Taruva is going to run the Quinella in Rookie of the Year, I would suggest. If it's not him, it's going to be the Dream. And rightfully so. His ability to find open space, his kick return stuff. And he spent the first 3 months this season being the sole kick returner because that was where they were getting kicked. Every ball was not getting kicked to Brian Tua along the way. It was getting kicked to Taruva. And he more than owned that, and for his size, copped it along the way. So that was he is outstanding. Bizza is the greatest workhorse winger in the competition. He produces his 200 and 300 metres consistently at his best. Let's say 150, 200 this year. Higher last year, but on the back of a hat trick last week, and he earned every single one of those tries, which has been the theme with wingers this year. That's not a knock in any way on the Brisbane wingers, who Selwyn is as good an X-factor player on his day as
100%.
any winger in the competition. And has produced it at Origin level numerous times. Will be up for this. Jesse Arthurs has been an astute buy and has earned his way into this team. Very good footwork, ability to beat a player, ability to beat that first kick chaser and
Good in the air.
very good in the air, which is where I'll suggest they do have the edge. The Brisbane Wingers is obviously the height advantage. When everything else fails, they're going to kick crossfield and they're going to pepper both wings here because there needs to be there could potentially be an area assault along the way, Barn. What do you make of these
it'll be their first or second option and their fallback option. So you can expect a lot of high ball to both Taruva and To'o.
Yep.
And it wouldn't surprise me if it does provide a try or two for this Brisbane side. As long as the kicking is pinpoint, which is most of the time is pretty good when it comes out of Adam Reynolds' boot. The thing for mine is the handling errors between Arthurs and Cobbo could actually dig a bit of a hole for the Brisbane side. Like Taruva and To'o, very rarely do you see them spill a ball when trying to finish off a try. They're just consummate professionals. They do their work through the middle of the field, which sets up everything that off the back of it with your big charges from your middle forwards that come off the back of the dummy half runs with these guys who scoot for 10, 15 minutes, get up, play the ball. Very rarely blow a chance when they get an opportunity to score a try out wide. The only advantage I see for the Brisbane team is obviously that bit of height with the kicks to the corners. And Cobbo can blow a game apart. They've got
the option there. It won't always be Reynolds.
No.
Welsh will kick across field.
Ezra Mann will probably have a kick, yeah.
But I can see Welsh putting that left foot kick across field.
Walters could do it out of dummy
getting a
half.
bit of broken field there, that little bit of something going on, kick across.
But they both turn around like jackrabbits. They get back, defend the grubber in behind the line fantastically well. I just think you saw the way that Taruva and both Tu'o finished very well last week, getting down low and burrowing for the corners. They both scored in very similar fashions, and I think that'll be very hard for the likes of Cobbo and Jesse Arthurs to defend against that kind of attack if Penrith are getting the ball to them in the right position to do that. So I think the Penrith Wingers for the majority of the game will be a much stronger influence for this Penrith side than the Broncos wingers will be, but there is a chance that 1 out of 10 times that the Broncos could possibly jag a try with a kick to the corner or some footwork and a palm out of Cobbo out on that right edge. So, but for mine, the matchup's Penrith on the wings.
The centres, what a matchup we got here. Tungo and Crichton against Staggs and Herbie Farnworth. This is as good a match as we get in any game.
Absolutely.
At all. This is Origin quality matchup. It's national quality matchup. I'm going to let you have first crack at this.
Well, Herbie Farnworth's been in undeniable form for
what a player he's been. Like, remember when he first and I've always loved him, as you know, but came across as christening him the World War II fighter pilot.
We started at the Dolphins in reserve grade, I'm pretty sure.
And come over as Herbie Farnworth in position now. But what a player he's been for Brisbane.
He's now putting out 200 metres every week, just about. Constant threat, ball in hand, has a very strong fend, very good step and running game, and it's just so hard to bring down when he has the ball in his hand. He can get turned inside out a little bit, which I could see possibly happening here. He'd be up against Targo. Yeah, so
which is a big physical ask for him.
My issue is Targo's 1 week back.
Yeah.
So expect a lot of ball to be going. Like you saw the matchups, the way they played against the Warriors this week. They went down that left-hand edge a lot of the time, right-hand defence.
They almost played the rust off him because he started pretty average last week and
did start to get better towards the back end.
He really played himself back into that game.
And, he is actually quite a good defender, but he's going to have his hands full here with Herbie Farnworth. I think Herbie might just have the edge in this matchup just due to match fitness and conditioning. I wouldn't be surprised if Penrith do what they did last week and swap sides with Crichton going across to the other side because otherwise he's defending outside of Luai, who is also coming back from injury, who has a suspect shoulder. So wouldn't be surprised if that swap does end up happening, but then you've got to defend Katoni Staggs either way.
Yeah.
Ball in hand, I think the Broncos probably do have a fraction in physicality over the Penrith players in this game, but I think Penrith their defence, I think they're much better defenders than Kentucky Stags and
So
Herbie
you
Farnworth.
saw last week how often that Penrith right side defensive edge got isolated, led to an Olam try, first try, and then 3 drop balls and a few fuck-ups along the way. If Herbie gets those chances, he ices them.
2 of them at least,
Yeah.
You would think so.
So that's where there's a little bit, I don't say a chink, but a little bit of like the arm is not quite.
They'll be throwing plenty of shape there, and Crichton will be. I hope Targo's completely fit, because if both of those centres are completely fit, this is a matchup.
And there was the mail today that Herbie's got a hamstring concern and
yes,
yada, yada,
correct.
So
Both of these centre pairings completely fit. I couldn't split them.
no,
Because Crichton on his day can do absolutely anything.
Yep.
So can Stags. Farnworth's a fraction limited. Like, he doesn't have that little bit of X factor. Like, he's a fantastic player. He's strong, has pace, but he can't do those freakish things that you see Crichton and Stags be able to do on occasion.
Stags is from where he came from a couple of years ago. He's made a concerted effort to be physical in defence. Mm-hmm. He throws people around now.
He does get beaten though.
Yes,
he can get beaten with pace and a bit of deception.
But generally he does. He gets very angry, and then and then it's game on the other side.
And
so.
Targo's probably a little bit lighter. He's got a little bit more. Probably his footwork's probably a fraction better than a couple of these guys, but he does have occasionally can miss a tackle, fall off a tackle, and I honestly can't split these two. It's going to be which one of these two turn up better on the day.
Call it a draw. Another interesting matchup is the 5/8, and a very good matchup now. You know, there's a time I would have gushed all over one or the other here, but Luai and Mam, both at 5/8, similar players. They're going to play
very similar players.
They're outstanding second fiddles. Mm-hmm. Both rely on footwork. Mam a bit more on strength as well.
Short kicking game.
Short right foot kicking game, left foot kicking game for Luai. I again can't split these. I think Jerome Luai's in better form, despite having the injury. I think he's had a very good season. After I gave him a bit of a pot earlier on, he has been tremendous, and he's very good at being Jerome Luai.
Yep.
It's the nicest thing I can give him, but that is a wrap because you know what he's going to do. He's going to do left foot step, right foot step, offload or pass, or he's going to go into the line, try and drag someone with him in the hope that Yo or someone else pops up close enough that all of a sudden there's a gap, that all of a sudden Liam Martin can walk over untouched, a pair wider. And he's very good at doing that. And he's been there is. I don't think his shoulder was necessarily tested last week. There's still half maybe concern there that might fall out, but which suggests is why Cog is still on the bench.
Yep.
Ezra Mam, similar player, more physical, more likely to be running just on the back of shape, hitting a hole and busting through. And against some of the lesser teams, he's a very, very dangerous proposition. I feel like Penrith have him well enough covered because they obviously know what he brings to the table. So I would like to almost see him bring something different to the table in this game to be...
Pass a bit earlier, kick a bit earlier.
Yeah, just something
like
else
that
will challenge that Penrith defence more. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, very similar. Ezra's a lot more direct, quite a bit more physical than Jerome Luai. But Jerome Luai, when he is on, is one of the most creative 5/8s in the competition. The way that he can find someone on a short ball, whether it's a lead run or someone that's folding back in support, where he's dancing in front of players and finds half a hole for him to go through. And he's probably got his touch in his kicking game is probably a little bit more controlled than what Ezra is. Ezra seems to kick it dead probably a little bit more often than you see Jerome do. Defensively, yeah, I give the edge to Ezra Mann, but I think creatively and at the back end of this game, I see Luai probably providing more opportunity for points than Ezra Mann.
Yeah. Some of these matchups for the rest of this, we could go on for a podcast alone about Cleary versus Reynolds or Carrigan versus but
Fish versus
and in the front row matchup. But Cleary versus Reynolds is next. They've both had interrupted seasons, which may be the story of their career, which probably is the story of their career. But
been brilliant most of the time they've been on the field.
They've been very good. I thought I'd say Cleary was nursing a lot of injuries for his front. So I would say he hasn't been at his best at front half, but the back half has been outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's made a concerted effort to be a runner in his last 6 weeks or so. Given he's built like a lock, he's not afraid to get in and try and bust that, and that creates such a when they live in a world where there's no setup plays when he's running. Something else is coming the next set, or that's
especially when you
go.
have the other opportunities around him.
Yeah, so that's very, very. Well, he's obviously a scary proposition. He's Australian halfback, and rightfully so. Adam Reynolds, stop-start year, but his best football this year has been outstanding. His kicking game at his best. And the best thing is, it took him to he was outstanding when we were up at Magic Round last year, but this year, when he's fit and firing, when Broncos are up and going, geez, he loves taking the piss. He's got those great chip over the tops. He's got the great crossfield kicks. He's got the grubbers through, and brings a sense of calm to the rest of this team. Which,
absolutely.
Can't
be underestimated at all.
Cleary, but that's ingrained into what they do. But what he's brought to this team can't be underestimated. But Cleary's got the better. I'd say Cleary has a better running and defensive game. On form, I'd give Reynolds a slight edge on kicking. Both fantastic goal kickers, and there'll be Penrith fans screaming about even giving the edge to Reynolds on goal kick on general play kicking, and you might even do the same. But what do you make of this matchup?
Yeah, I think Cleary's a much better defender. He generally doesn't need help with with most people that are running at him. He's generally puts away the bloke that's running at him one-on-one. Whereas Reynolds, obviously, there's some question marks around especially his outside shoulder with second rowers and the likes of Liam Martin and such running as hard as they possibly can at that outside shoulder. I think Cleary's probably got a fraction more creativity in his long kicking game with the spiral bomb, that flat belly bomb that he puts up into the corners. But in and around,
he's narrowed it back this year. I feel like
he has.
Last year, we haven't seen that.
You'll see a few of them.
We haven't seen
in
the
this
spinning
game,
grubber yet. Yeah, well, we haven't seen that spinning grubber at all. We haven't seen the.
No, correct.
We haven't really seen the belly of the ball bomb, which
I think
second only to Burton, really.
Reynolds is the most precise kicker in the competition.
Yeah.
Like, Cleary's not far behind, but when he wants to put the ball on the head of a centre or the head of a 5'8" or a second rower, that's exactly where it's coming down. He wants to kick it and dribble it into the corner and stop it just sort of the
Cleary
corner
did
post.
give away 2 or 3 7 tackle sets.
Yeah. So there's probably a fraction more precision in and around the goal line with Reynolds' kicking game than Cleary's, but I just think he probably has 1 or 2 more options in the way that the ball is presented to the bloke who's trying to defuse the bomb or the short kicking, the short grubber, as you mentioned, that spinning grubber that we haven't really seen this year. Don't be surprised if you see that come out once or twice in this grand final. For mine, just the fact that a little bit of youth there, a little bit of stronger defence and physicality running into the line, I'd probably give Cleary the edge in this matchup, but it's not.
And a little bit trust more in fitness too, because they have nursed Reynolds a lot through this season. The front row, again, another one we could do a show on, but Leota and Fisher-Harris against Flegler and Haas. Payne Haas, the Daggy medalist this year. In the conversation for player of the finals this year, the way he's going, and Tom Flegler, who's had a great season, a really good season, an outstanding Origin season. Leota, what you see is what you get. Leota's someone who just picks their man and matches up on them defensively and go, right, he's not going to get the best of me.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you a game where they got the best of Moses Leota.
No.
And then Fisher-Harris, who is the scariest man in rugby league at his absolute best.
I can't remember the last time anyone got it over the top of Fisher-Harris.
No. He started this year. He started the season quietly, but he's last. Again, he's peaked at the right time. They've got here. And how do you line them up?
Impact, Penrith. I think Fisher-Harris and Leota will play shorter minutes than what you'll see out of the likes of Flegler and Haas. Yep. Whether that equates to, you might get a slightly higher output out of the Brisbane front rowers, but whether that equates to impact, I'm not 100% sure. Payne Haas, at his devastating best, can be the best front rower in the competition and is probably shaped that way now for the last 2 seasons. Whether he can put that out for 60 minutes and really break down the front door of this Penrith pack, left to be said. It's the bench rotation that's really going to make the massive difference in this one.
Well, the reason Leota and Harris can have the luxury of having those breaks is because Spencer Leniu is devastating.
100%. And then you get if they can come out and be at their impactful best with Fisher, Harris and Leota, I'd probably give them a slight edge over Flegler and Haas. But there's absolutely nothing in it. You know you're going to get big minutes, big output out of Flegler and Haas. They will have some very dominant runs. They will be dragging blokes with them. They probably will cause a few problems with an offload and maybe breaking the line here and there as well. But you're going to get a similar sort of thing out of Penrith. And they're just going to be bowling balls lining up time and time again. Martin, Leniu, Leota, Harris, just straight through the middle of this field. I think the impact when those two starting front rowers on the field will swing towards Penrith, but when you get into the rotation, I think you might find Brisbane might just be holding a little bit of a fitness edge in that rotation. So,
are you sure what they do with them? Because the moment of the grand final could be Payne Haas' second stint if he comes off. But you know that 60-minute stint when he comes back on, you know what he's going to do. You know he's going to take 3, 4, 5 blokes.
Probably angling a bit wider.
That's changed games a lot this year. And then all of a sudden, that's when the tag team starts with his bash roller. But
I think that's where you're going to see things like you're going to see Leota or Fisher Harris.
If Brisbane are in the game when that happens, it's game on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. But I think you will be seeing, as soon as that second stint from Haas comes on, either Leota or Harris will be sent out there as a hitman to basically hit him before he gets to the line. I don't care if you scream out of the line and bounce off him.
Yeah.
Get out there and put some impact on him.
Yeah.
And slow him down before someone else has to tackle him.
Yeah. The hookers, Mitch Kenny and Billy Walters, are possibly two of the least spruiked hookers in the whole competition.
100%.
But they're both in very, very good form. And the other thing about all of these 17 players, they're all in great form.
Yeah.
Both coaches done an amazing job of peaking here. But Mitch Kenny brings that defensive starch. He brings clean enough service, a bit slower service and your Appies of the world, but clean and without deception more so anything. But tremendous defensive starch. Potentially might even play back row for a bit if they give Cogger a 15-minute stint there along the way. And Billy Walters' creativity and speed out through the ruck was on show last week, and he's grown into a proper first-grade hooker in a space of 12 months. So how do you line these two?
Well, the defensive issues are the big one for mine. Billy Walters has had issues in defence for his entire career. Before he was at Brisbane and even at the start when he first came across, he was missing tackles for fun at different times. And I'll be very surprised if you do not see a whole heap of traffic sent his way,
well, especially
in this first 15 minutes, to really try and dull that running game and creativity that you see coming out of hooker. So I expect him to be extremely targeted, whereas Mitch Kenny, that's what he does. That's his job. Every week is to absorb that pressure and impact through the middle of the field. And I think you will be seeing him going out looking to put, to shut down the likes of Carrigan and Haas and be the first guy there to meet them before the advantage line and, just go about doing those defensive things. If Billy Walters isn't gassed after half an hour, I'd be very surprised. So I think if he's going to make an impact, it's going to have to be in that first half an hour of this game because if it was up to me, I'd be sending every second run at Billy Walters.
Yeah. And it does look a little, defensive-wise, does look a little bit like the chink in the front door there. The back row is Sorensen and Liam Martin against Kurt Capel and Jordan Ricky. What a tremendous last 6 weeks Liam Martin's had since he's come back from the injury and the back of origin there. Scott Sorensen, a career resurgence, like now just one of the almost stars of the game, what he brings every week with his footwork through on that edge. And Kurt Capel, the old tradesman who's won the comp with Penrith and now matches up well here. And Jordan Ricky, a fantastic line runner, line hitter, try scorer, and matches up every bit physically with his counterparts. How do you line them up?
Just what you said there. I'm not sure Jordan Ricky does physically ball in hand, yes. Defensively, and same with Capewell. They do seem to have a bit of a problem with their ball carry. If they get belted by opposition defenders, they do have a handling error in them. And there'd be another thing that I'd be lining up with Liam Martin. You know he's crazy as fuck, and he likes to hurt people.
Yeah.
So I'd be having a whisper in his ear that as soon as Jordan Ricky gets anywhere near you, hit him as fucking hard as you can, because he's probably going to drop the ball. And similar story with Sorensen on the other side up against Capewell. Because although Capewell has fantastic footwork, he's got a nice pass in him. If you drag him into a physical battle, I think that's where Sorensen can win that matchup. And I don't think Ricky will be still trying to stand in front of Liam Martin after about 60 minutes of this game. Because if he's getting constantly belted every time he touches the ball and then trying to tackle Liam Martin when he's fucking an Exocet missile running straight at him, I think there's definite physical edge for the back rowers for Penrith.
I agree. Liam Martin's I think he's been the form back row of the comp for the last 2 months. So I am giving the edge purely through him. And I am going to go as far to say when we get there, he's in my thoughts for Clive Churchill medalist.
Yeah, it's mine too.
He's got sniffs of a try for him, busting through one of his madcap runs. Probably a Lenu run into Kenny, off to Cleary. There's Martin, bang. Oh, shit. They've got us again. That's what it stinks of here a little bit.
Well, he loves the lead. Cleary loves him as a lead runner.
Oh, of course, yeah.
He hits him half the time and then uses him as decoy half the time, and it's just good luck what's going to happen outside of that.
He is the reason I'm giving that battle to Penrith. Ricky's been fantastic. He's still young. He's grown into his spot.
Great offload.
Yeah,
he is a physical presence, but
and can score the same sort of tries. And can and of these is the best of chasing that short king game of man. Can find it off that grubber. But yeah, Liam Martin is like a beacon here, saying here he is. As I said, we could do a whole show on these 13s, Yo and Pat Carrigan. What players? Two of our favourite players, probably without doubt. And this matchup, I can't split because both players bring the same thing: toughness, resilience, that work through the middle.
Tackle their ass off.
Will both make
Run
40
all day.
tackles. That 2 and 3 wide service is outstanding from both of them. It's almost like their opposition is where you find the thing, and what scares me a little bit is that Billy Walters is the one who's going to have to bring down Yo a lot of the time. And as you said 5 minutes ago, that's where he maybe gets the edge. But I think Pat Carrigan, and I'm on record of saying he's the best lock in the game. So ultimately, I can't split these two. How are you going?
Yeah, Carrigan's a little more direct with his running. Generally, he's not looking for the pass out the back unless he's been overcalled or he really sees something that's going on out wide. His first option is to run, whereas Yo's sort of a 50-50 option. He still probably prefers to run a little bit, but he's always looking for anything that's going on outside of what he's doing.
Well, he's trying to push Nathan wider, really, isn't
100%. Defensively, Carrigan's probably a bit more physical, but Yo doesn't miss him anyway. So he's not probably going to hurt you as much in defence, but he's going to make just as many tackles, if not more, than what Carrigan is. Carrigan's probably got a fraction more of an offload threat, whereas Yo's fraction probably got a bit more of a ball-playing perspective about him being able to put somebody through a hole to score a try, whereas you don't see Carrigan putting guys over for tries that often. You know what I mean? So all in all, I think Yo might just shade Carrigan, but on workload, you're probably going to get, you're going to get an equal contribution from both of these guys. There might just be a touch of skill go Yo's way at the back end of the game.
You know what I'm excited for? And they got rocks in if they don't do it. But the 3 weeks Carrigan played in the second row, he was the best second row in the comp. I hope when we get to the internationals, I hope we get to see Carrigan and Yo on the field together with a Cam Murray or a Liam Martin
coming off.
Be outstanding.
Yeah, Murray off the bench and Martin at 12 or something.
I took that in my veins. Anyway, we've got the bench to get to, which... Look, we'll go through it. We'll just name them all at once, but pick them apart here. Cogger and Smoothie at 14. Smith and Pierre Cora 15. Lenu, Hetherington 16. Garner, Paliasia at 17. Look, again, a bit like Liam Martin in this, but Spencer Lenu's the one that changes games here.
Yeah, 100%.
He's the one that comes on, he has his 20 minutes, but they're 20 minutes that every run counts.
He hurts people that are trying to tackle him.
That's right.
Like, he runs into you and you know that you've just had to make a tackle. The physicality that bloke brings off the bench will be massive.
It's actually, if nothing, apart, you take him out, the bench is almost leaning the other way. But look, Garner's there for the capability to cover playing in the back line, I assume, as well. But kudos to him. He's had a good last few weeks, which gets him the nod ahead.
That'd be the change. I'd have Hosking there.
Yeah,
if it was up to me.
But
I'd have Hosking there in front of Garner.
You must be working the house down, as they say.
Yep.
And kudos to Lindsay Smith getting a Guernsey in a grand final for the same sort of reason.
It's been tremendous.
Come in and been great.
Just plugs in, fills that hole. Very good defensively and does nothing wrong in attack.
Yeah.
It's not, a huge creative option, but puts his head down and just takes the ball into the line, does what he needs to do.
Yeah. And I suspect, Cogger is there as luau cover, which maybe is a flag in itself, but has earned the right. He's been tremendous for the 12 games he's come in and covered both of them. But Lenu is the one that can change this. I talked about Payne Haas's second stint. Lenu's first stint will be the game breaking moment in this game potentially.
And he'll probably come back on in the last 15 or 20 to be as physical as possible.
Either score a try or he'll produce a run that will win them the game.
Or belt somebody.
That's what he does. For Brisbane, I just want to. They're all very good tradesmen, but Piacora and Palliser are both forwards on the rise. They've had good seasons.
Give them 2 or 3 years, they'll be destructive forces
absolutely.
in the back row.
But I like both of them have very good footwork through the line. Palliser's almost yo-like in the way he can get into that line and then shuffle around a bit and create a bit of space.
Big bodies do have a handling error in them, both of them, and do have a missed tackle in them, which makes me lean towards the way I will when we get to it. I just think Penrith will be stronger for longer due to that bench rotation. Smoothie for mine is a threat running the ball out of dummy half, but they need to be on the front foot for him to be any sort of impact. Whereas Cogger can come in and if he does need to switch into the halves, and he can create.
Yes.
He can add a kicking game as well, which is stronger than Luai if he does have to take Luai's spot.
First final in that last. The first final in the last game, he was their best player.
Take a bit of pressure off Cleary if there's long kicking needed and whatever. He can fill all those roles. So I think there's a bit more creativity in the ball playing, but running the ball from Smoothie could be an asset, but they'd really need to be on the front foot.
Yeah.
For mine, that's the change I'd probably make in the Brisbane side. I'd have Tristan Saylor playing 14.
Yeah, I agree.
If it was up to me. At the end of the day, he's big enough if you need him to throw him into the back row. I'm sure he's good enough at dummy half. You've seen what he's done filling in for Reece Walsh at fullback. Anywhere in that back line, I think he could make an impact if needed. So for mine, he'd be the guy I'd have in 14. But
and I would say Corey Jensen's unlucky not to be on that bench because he has been good this year. I know he's a bit smaller.
Yeah.
And I understand probably from a size point of view, but
work his ass off for you.
Work his ass off. Well, in terms of gameplay, we won't spend much on this because we've covered a lot of it as we go. We know what Penrith bring to the table. They're going to drag you down. They're going to make you work. You're going to have to beat them at being the best team in the comp for 80 minutes, and not many can do it. Mm-hmm. If you're Brisbane, how do you beat Penrith?
They have to play like they did against the Warriors. They have to be dominant through the middle of the field. They're going to need to rely on fast play the balls. Dare say a lot of long kicking in behind, turning Penrith around, trying to wear their forwards out without actually being too physical with them. Just make them run up and down the field a fair bit, turn around and go back into the corners and work from there. Offloads would be helpful, but it's not as important as quick play the balls. And, just being as physical with them for as long as possible in the middle of the field and making sure they don't gain ascendancy at any time during the game through the middle of the field.
If I was Adam Reynolds, I would be going back and watching the Manly game. The DCE kicked them...
spread early, kick the corners.
Kick along the ground to corners and make Turiv have to wait that
make
extra 15, 20 seconds for that ball to bounce into your hands. All set line, and then you're just chopping out the knees before they start. That was the only reason Manly got within 12 points of them. And there's much more firepower here.
Oh, yeah, and they're much more physical presence in the middle of the field.
And then if you can do that, chop that down, pin them in their half, and then from the back of that, get that left spread going where you can isolate and
even
hope,
the right. Like I don't think they went to the right enough last week.
No,
You've got
right.
Staggs and Cobbo
and
over
get
there.
those centres isolated,
Right.
and there are points there.
1-on-1 early ball.
If you can
for
do
the
it, you
blokes
need to
out
do
the
it,
back.
and you need to do it twice. You need to make them chase 12 or 16 or 18
Yeah, 100%.
from the start, and then ice the rest of the game. Not an easy task.
Yeah, control field position, kick early, get the forward back turning around on the back foot, and then as soon as opportunity comes, get as 1-on-1 with your wingers and centres. But even that's a 50-50 proposition whether you get through. So
Final words. Your Clive Churchill medalist, how's the game going to unfold, and first try score.
I think Cleary for mine, has to be man of the match. Penrith win, it'll be on the back of his what he does, kicking, but more so his running game and short passing game. There's nobody that's equivalent to him at the moment. Sean Johnson at his best, and Adam Reynolds recently have been close, but I think if he's completely at his best, his running game's better than both of those, and his passing and kicking's just as good. He gets him around the field, gets him where he needs to be. I think he'll probably provide 2 or 3 try assists just off his own bat if he doesn't score one himself. I think Brisbane will trouble Penrith for half an hour, maybe even 10 minutes into the second half. I think they will cause problems. I think they may even control the middle of the field for 20 minutes, half an hour.
The thing is, we know all the teams with big 4-packs have bent them in the first 10, 12, 15 minutes.
I think it'll be
It's how
more
you make the
so
most of
the back end of this first half and maybe the start of the second half when we're still in that forward rotation cycle until Fish and Leota come back.
Yeah.
I think that's really their opportunity to try and push through the middle of the field once one or both of those guys go off. A couple of kicks to the outside edges. Reece Walsh is going to cause problems for any football team. I don't care how good your defence is. He's going to pop up and ask a couple of questions at some different point. And I think, they'll make Penrith uncomfortable for at least the first half of this game. But I think they'll just be physical for longer, controlled for longer, and do what they do. And I think they'll win 13+. I don't think it'll be a massive 13+. You might be looking at 14, 16 points, but Penrith 13+, Cleary man of the match. And I actually had 3. I'm going to have 3 first try scorers. I've got Cobbo for Brisbane. I'm going to go Crichton or Liam Martin for Penrith. I think that right edge will be where it comes through first, targeting Reynolds and the Ricky and the likes on that edge.
If Penrith score first, Brisbane are no chance. I'm going to say I can see it playing out that Brisbane have dominate field position 10, 15 minutes, have bend them back, keep them pinned, shut them down, and score first. I'm going to say they do score first. I'm going to say it's on that left edge. I'm going to say the sweep play. I'm going to say it's Reece Walsh.
Okay.
In the left side, looking for Herbie, but the little dummy going himself, sliding under, carrying like a pork chop. Off Brisbane go. And for the record, it is sold out.
Yep.
Absolutely sold out. So, which I was shocked at because I just thought
that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people, and I think it's the first time that's happened in a while. So it is. So that's why I can see it playing. Just quickly, while I think of it, before I forget, I finish my story. Friend of the show, Flobs, asked us who we would pick as referee because he wanted to hear our thoughts on the officiating of late. But I think it's fair enough. Adam G's referee.
Get Ansley back out. Get him to fucking run around and do it.
Fair enough.
No, out of recent times.
I thought he controlled some of the shit that happened last week pretty well, Adam G, actually.
If Sutton doesn't miss that forward pass, he probably gets the job.
I'd say so.
But, off the back of that, Adam G, but I probably would have kept Sutton. I know it's a fucking horrible forward pass that really should have been called, but I probably would have kept
I thought Adam G tried very hard to shut down a lot of that niggle last week.
Yeah, he did well with that, actually.
If that being the case, I'm okay with him. I think he's had a good couple of years. Big game for him because he could stamp himself as the number one if he
next 10 years, 5 years.
Yeah, so kudos to him. But back to where I was headed, I see Brisbane scoring first, and then I think once we get in the rotation, I believe Action has reminded me that I'm yet to tip Brisbane tip Penrith in the grand final. So I'm going to.
You tipped them last year. He was carrying on about none of us tipped him last year. All three of us tipped him last year.
Okay, good. Good so fuck him. But I'm tipping him here. I think they're just out. I think they're the best team we've seen in 20, 25 years. So
you and Ollie didn't tip him the year before, and I did, but we all tipped him last year. I went back and listened to it after those comments, and we all tipped him.
Yeah. But they're going to win this game. I think they chase him down. I think it's a great game, and Fizgale comes back through. I'm going to say Liam Martin, Clive Churchill medalist. He drags him back in, belting a few blokes. And
get a decent price there.
And I'm going to say, as I said, first try scorer, Reece Welsh. I think it's 13 plus, but I think it's the last 5 minutes 13 plus. I think it's a cracker, and then Dylan Edwards straight through the middle.
Bang on 2 tries in the last 10 minutes.
Last 10 minutes, and off they go. But looking forward to it. Should be a great game. This has been Footy and Frothies grand final preview. Any fun thoughts? No.
Enjoy the day.
Yeah, enjoy.
Drink wise.
Gamble
responsibly.
And sleep in if you're in Sydney on Monday. Good luck, Penrith fans. Good luck, Brisbane fans. And we'll talk soon when we look back at it all next week. See you guys.
Bye.